Come laugh, learn, and love with us, your hosts, Peter and Teresa Martin. We're going to share stories, insights, everything on how to strengthen your marriage. We're going to have a lot of fun because we've got wisdom to share as long as it's shared with humor and maybe a glass of Italian red. Join us now for the next episode of Love That Lasts. Hi, friends. Welcome to Love That Lasts podcast. We're your hosts, Peter and Teresa Martin, and we're so excited to have you back listening with us. We have wonderful guests they're not in studio with us this time, but we have Nick and Megan from Nebraska. And before we jump into that conversation, I just want to say that there are still some spots available on the retreats on our events section on our website, jp2rule.com, that you can check out. And we'd love to see you at one of those events this coming year.
Very good. So Nick and Megan from, it's not Lincoln exactly, but we'll just say Lincoln, Nebraska. Do you want to introduce yourselves for our guests?
I'm Nick Nelson. It's my wife, Megan. We've been married for 16 years. We have 5 kids with number 6 due in December.
We currently live in Firth, Nebraska. Neither of us are from here. I grew up, so we're just south of Lincoln. So pretty much Lincoln, but 2 tiny towns south. I grew up in Southwest Iowa, and Nick grew up, he says mostly in Chicago. He was there like 0 to 10, and then in Virginia. We landed here after Nick left active duty Army. He went to a job fair and had 3 options. It was Houston, somewhere in California, I think it was Sacramento, and then here in Lincoln. And he said, it has to be one of those. And I said, well, if it has to be one of those, I don't like hurricanes. I don't like the West Coast. Lincoln it is.
Nice.
So we landed here. Most of my family is in the Omaha area. So
Okay.
we're close to my brothers, my aunts and uncles, and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Cool. How did the two of you meet?
Wait, before we get into that, so we are recording this in the evening, and I just have to ask because it looked like you were drinking something interesting there, Nick. What have you got in your glass?
This is Bullet Bourbon.
Nice.
That's part of our story. We got married in Kentucky, so bourbon will always be
Nice.
a drink of choice.
Yeah, that's my first duty station, Fort Knox, Kentucky.
That's awesome.
Sweet. Yeah. Back to the same question. Otherwise, I was going to go down a tangent, but I won't.
On bourbon? A bourbon
but
tangent.
I won't. I'll just go right back into the question. So
You can do that after hours for cut takes.
Right. Exactly. we can talk bourbon after hours.
We can put that in the extras. VIP access only.
Good.
Bourbon discussion.
So Fort Knox, is that part of your story?
It is.
Yeah.
So that is where Nick was stationed when we met. We're 3.5 years apart, but 4 school years. So I was in college, my sophomore year when we met, and he was year 2 back to like commissioned officer. Yeah, because he commissioned in 2008. This was 2010. So yeah, on his almost 2 years.
So long story short, I got on Catholic Match to like support a friend. She got on Catholic Match after 2010, and kind of like a dare, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Not a
I like
proud moment.
this already.
I was a sophomore. I was going to Loras College up in Dubuque, Iowa.
Yeah.
And I went with our focus team to Seek 2010, which is in Orlando. And there was a talk during that Seek conference the talk was about living your single life and preparing yourself as a single person. But what I took away from it was she met her spouse on CatholicMatch.com, who was a soldier, and the timing didn't work out as she had planned because he was serving in Iraq. Anyway, long story. I took away CatholicMatch.com and
from the singles talk.
It was from the singles talk, from the you should enjoy being single and work on you and not rush from relationship to relationship, which was kind of my story until that point. Online dating was still, I don't know, we thought it was kind of funny. And we were like, let's see what kind of people are on CatholicMatch.com.
Oh my word.
So we signed up for the free profiles, and I was dared. And there was all these layers to it. Like, when you don't pay for the subscription, Catholic Match might get mad about this. If you don't, I'm going to tell the secrets. And if Catholic Match comes after me,
It's not like a trick. It just works for us.
it worked for us. So when you don't pay, you don't get to see any of the contact information. You only get like a first name. Well, Nick's profile picture.
You can't even message them. You can match. You match, but you can't talk to them.
Yeah, you can't do really anything other than just be a stalker. So Nick's profile picture was in uniform. So what was written across his chest? His last name.
Nice.
Well, Nick Nelson is a very common name.
Sure.
And so when I was dared, look him up on Facebook. If you find him, you have to message him.
No.
I said, okay, I'll take that dare. No way am I going to find him.
Oh, it's funny.
Did same profile picture.
Number one.
Like the first
Top
match
one.
that came up.
That's hilarious.
Meant to be.
And so, of course, the friends were like, yeah, you got to message him now. And
Well, you have to.
I wrote the creepiest message I could think of. Like,
Was it creepy on purpose? Or
I
you
found
just-
you on Catholic Match. I'm a poor college student and can't afford the subscription.
Oh, my word.
I'd like to get to know you. And I figured that will be the end of that.
That's
and then about 30
hilarious.
minutes later, a message through Facebook Messenger comes back and he responded. So that's how it got started. That was January 2010.
Mhm.
Oh, that's great.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
That's how we met. Do you want to tell the
Yeah.
rest of the story?
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. And, obviously, we hit it off pretty well. And it was 2010. So we went from Facebook Messenger to AOL Instant Messenger.
Nice.
And then we actually talked on the phone. She had dropped hints about her school's Valentine's dance. This is at Loras College, Iowa, which not that far from Fort Knox. And so I asked if I could take her to the dance. And I thought, oh, this is great. We'll meet face to face. Nice, romantic story and all that. And like literally the day after I asked her, I got a call from my commander. He said, "Hey, you're leaving for Ranger School in 3 days.
What?
Pack your bags."
oh, my word.
No.
So I had to call her and tell her, "Hey, can't take you to the dance anymore."
Ah,
So she decided to come to Fort Knox and see me off to Ranger School.
wow.
So she knew what she was
And,
getting into.
No,
Oh.
only kind of.
Uh-uh.
Yeah. So at Ranger School, you only get to talk on a phone like once per cycle after the cycle ends. And back then, you didn't even have your cell phones. You had to use a payphone, which don't exist anymore. But what you can do is you can write letters and you can receive letters.
Nice.
And, even though, I was hungry and there were nights that we just didn't sleep at all. We would go days without sleep. I would sacrifice sleep because I'm like, I have to write a letter to Megan. And that was, we had gotten to know each other before that point, but in those letters, I'm not going to talk about the weather. And I can only say how much, I don't want to
Sure.
spend the whole time complaining how cold and tired I am. We both just really put our hearts out there and what did we want? What do we like about each other? Honestly, I think I knew when she dropped me off for Ranger School, I'm like, I think I'm going to marry her.
Aw.
And
How long had you guys been dating at that point?
2 months?
No, so we had started talking mid-January.
I guess we hadn't been on a date.
This was February 10th. We had
Wow.
not been on, we had only seen each other for the few hours. I drove down.
Yeah.
He was not super pleased because he wanted a good night's sleep. He knew he was going to Ranger School and was not going to be sleeping for the next 3 months.
Oh,
We
my
stayed up and
word.
talked, and then I dropped him off that morning. So we'd only seen each other for a couple of hours.
Wow.
In person. I would not call it a date. He
No,
was
that's
going,
a date. It counts.
he was going to take me to Tim Hortons that morning for donuts and coffee.
Oh, gosh.
But we pull up to the gate and I have to get my visitor's pass, and I find out that the piece of paper that comes with the sticker that goes on your license plate is the registration, and it's really important to keep that.
Yeah.
I had just been putting the sticker on the license plate and throwing
the
piece of
paper out.
away.
Oh no.
So I could not get the visitor pass to
Oh,
go on
shoot.
base to go to Tim Hortons with him for breakfast.
No.
Okay, so you met in 2010, but then you also got married in 2010?
Yes.
Yep.
So
So
fast.
she came to my Ranger School graduation. I already knew I was gonna ask her. Like I was telling people in Ranger School, like they're like, "Who are you writing to?" I'm like, I'm gonna marry her. That's who I'm writing to."
Yeah. So
Nice.
February 10th is when he went, and then graduation, I think was the 28th or 29th.
Mm-hmm.
So I had finished up my school year, had gone back home for a little while, and actually flew down to Georgia from my home near Omaha. But in that time, I was planning to spend that summer abroad. I was trying to get an internship as an athletic training student for Athletes in Action abroad. They came back and said, "You're too young. We generally like to take third or fourth year athletic training students. However, we can offer you this internship in Xenia, Ohio at our headquarters." If you look on a map, Xenia, Ohio is only about an hour and a half from Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Nice.
So there were many God interventions.
Yes, to backtrack, after Ranger School graduation, she invited me to meet her family.
Wow.
Which I flew out and did. I don't remember most of it because I was still very exhausted from Ranger School. It takes like months to try and catch up on sleep. I met your grandfather and your mom and dad. And then she wound up in Xenia, Ohio. And so like basically every weekend I just drove up there and we would go on dates and stuff. And then I called your dad and, asked for permission. And it's actually, that's something that we joke about. It's how surprising it was that he was like, "Yeah, sure."
My parents weren't like,
they met me one time. He did send me a
Right.
letter in Ranger School. That's true too. But and so then I asked her.
They didn't even flinch?
He didn't.
No.
I mean, for all I know, your mom's still worried. I don't know.
My mom still has concerns 16 years later. Who knows? Yeah, so that was in June. So I was at the internship. He proposed end of June. And a lot of this, so this timeline was really sped up because we knew that he was about to go to Afghanistan. So we knew that he was getting deployment orders and he was heading to Afghanistan in December. So there were a lot of conversations that sped this up. And it was a lot of like, "I know that I want to be with you. Let's go into this engaged." And then a couple weeks later and a couple conversations later, I remember you saying, "I don't want to go over there with you being just my fiance because that means nothing to the Army. I want to make sure that you're taken care of. And if, if something happens, I don't want to go with this not being official."
Yeah.
So then the conversation was, well, we'll get married in the courthouse, get all the like Army legal things done so that like, according to the Army, I am your wife. We'll still have the big wedding later. So we went to the courthouse in July.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
I picked him up from an overnight ruck march.
Yeah, I just marched 26 miles overnight. And then went and got married. That's what you do, right? That's normal.
We went to the courthouse on a Friday afternoon.
Totally
and
typical.
Got married. Because in our minds, like, this isn't the real wedding. Like, we're doing this because we've got to get all of our ducks in a row to be legal so that the Army takes care of me. It was kind of like how it was going. So it was a Friday afternoon. We went to the courthouse and then went straight to the Deer's office on base and did like all the paperwork. I guess we hadn't talked about the convalidating yet, but I couldn't even get on base and things without an ID card. You had to be married. Like fiancés don't get ID cards.
That's because you kept throwing away your registration page.
Yes, that too. I did get that fixed, so I could get on base with my car. And now I could get on base because I had a legitimate ID. But then we got to talking. I don't want to go back to school and be on a college campus while my husband is in Afghanistan.
Because all the support structure is there on base.
And it was, okay, we are married, but now this tug to like, I don't want to wait a year and a half to be married in the church. I want to be really married. Well, then we went and talked to the chaplain on base. And he was like, okay, you understand you're not currently married, right? I'm like, yes, we know. Like, this is why we did it. And he was very understanding of, there's a deployment coming. I understand why you did this.
Yeah.
But I still need to do like 6 months of marriage prep. So the soonest that I can marry you is the first week of December. And I said, well, he's supposed to leave like the 15th. Sure, let's try to squeeze this in. So in the course of, we got engaged in June. We went to the courthouse on July 16th.
And the
My
chaplain was
internship-
a Catholic priest.
Yes.
The rest of that summer, there was just a lot of conversations of, well, what now? I decided that I wasn't going to go back to Loris, that I was going to go ahead and move down to Kentucky.
Right.
And then we would convalidate in December, right before the deployment. And then I would stay in Kentucky, go to Western Kentucky University to finish up my degree while he was gone and be there with the spouses and be
Right.
involved with the Army community during the deployment. So I did. I went ahead and I actually moved to Kentucky while he was out at the National Training Center in California. I moved myself down, moved into the apartment. And yeah, so we ended up convalidating in December. And luckily we got a couple extra weeks. He didn't end up deploying until January 3rd.
Yes. First week.
Because you were there for
Nice.
New Year's.
So you got Christmas and New Year's together.
We did.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
the whole thing from meeting, engagement, wedding, convalidation, and then deployment was all less than 12 months.
Wow.
Jeez.
Can I just stop you right here and say thank you? I mean, well, no, because honestly, people who are civilians, they don't know the cost that military families and go through to just serve our country. And anyway, I'm getting emotional, but thank you.
Okay. I am too. And we look back and like we joke frequently. If our children decide to try to get married after they've
Seriously.
dated someone for like 6
We'd
months,
be like, heck
we'll probably
no.
freak out a little. But in our story, that deployment, so this is 2011. I don't know how much people remember what was happening during the war at that time. That was the year that we got Osama bin Laden. That spring was really bad.
Yeah.
And at one point, we both thought he wasn't going to make it home, and he was checked out. I was checked out. Had it not been for those perhaps reckless decisions to get married, I don't know that we would have made it. If I was just a girlfriend or even a fiance,
Right.
I probably would have thrown in the towel because it was really hard.
Yeah.
There was a time in between April and May, we had a memorial every week for about 6 weeks.
Mm.
It was
That's hard.
hard.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's hard.
But yeah, we're so thankful for the crazy decision.
So what you're saying is on base, they had a memorial, meaning someone had passed away from your community,
From his
had
brigade.
died in action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from his brigade.
Oh my gosh.
And I was young and didn't have kids, so I was really involved with everything I could be as a spouse. I was on what they call the call team, helped out with a lot of the things back on the base. So, yeah, just was some friends and I helped with a lot of like just different things that go on when there's casualties and injuries and things like that. But yeah, the brigade had a casualty for many weeks in a row. April to May was really, really hard for the brigade. Luckily, his company was not affected, but there were definitely days that
We had a lot of close calls. Yeah, we were lucky.
Yeah, it was a rough year, and that was still back in the day. I joke with people now, like their husbands deploy and they take their iPhones with them and they FaceTime. And this first deployment, there was no cell phones.
Right.
It was, he had to stand in line at the USO to call. I didn't have a smartphone. Smartphones existed, but I didn't have one yet. So it was me like waiting around by my computer. I would get used to like, these are the time periods that he generally can go to the USO. So I would sit in front of my computer. I wouldn't go out and do anything because I would not miss a call. There's actually a funny story. I was driving on base. You are not allowed to have your phone while you're driving. But it was really early on in the deployment, and I was driving past the commissary, and my phone started ringing. And I grabbed my phone to pick it up, and then all of a sudden I see lights behind me. The MPs were pulling me over. And I picked up the phone, but it was too late. I had missed it. So this military police officer comes walking up to my side of the car, and I roll down my window, and I'm just sobbing. And this poor kid looks at me and goes, are you a first ID spouse? I said, yes. He goes, did you just miss a call from your husband? I said, yes. He goes, never mind, have a good day. And he booked it back to his car. He was
Oh
like,
my goodness.
I'm so sorry that I just pulled you over. Never mind, you're not getting a ticket. It was hilarious. But yeah, it was, yeah. So there was a lot. There was times that they called them communication blackouts. And so we would know, I didn't get a phone call today. I would reach out to my friends. They didn't get a phone call today. We would know there was a blackout.
Yeah,
and then everyone would just sit in their house and wait and see whose door was going to get knocked on. And yeah, it was a lot.
That's crazy.
It was a rough year. And it was our first year of marriage.
Wow. That's some fortification going on there. That's the crucible for sure.
It's funny that you said that word because I was actually,
That's what you wrote.
When I was thinking through kind of our story early on, it wasn't just the first year. It was really the first 6 years of our marriage. I feel like were a crucible. In 6 years, so this was 2010 to 2016, we had 5 major moves. That doesn't include just like house to house on base because there were a couple of those too. But we moved from Kentucky to Georgia to Germany. The kids and I moved back to Iowa while he was deployed to Egypt. We moved out to California.
Wow.
So 5 major moves, 1 international and back. In those first 6 years, he had 3 deployments, totaling over 30 months.
Goodness.
Numerous training exercises. He also took company command in 2014.
Yep.
Can you explain what does that mean? Sorry for the civilians listening.
So I'm an infantry officer. So like my companies are anywhere from 140 to 170 people. So I had about 160 guys that I took command of, and basically you're in charge of everything.
Wow.
All the successes.
So a lot
and
more
failures,
responsibility.
Yeah. To the point that so obviously, we always, wake up early for physical training in the morning. So I was, always up and out of the house before anyone else was even awake. But then there's so many weeknights, like not even out in the field, sleeping on the dirt or something, but just working late at night in garrison. And I would get home and, my kids were already asleep. So
Sure.
it was almost like, periods of single motherhood for her outside of the deployments. So it was a tough go.
Yeah, those first 6 years, we joke that most of the stress that you can experience in a marriage, we experienced real fast. We came in with a lot of stuff. In those first couple of years, we each had some pretty deep personal sin that we worked through, and there was just a lot. And by the end of those first 6 years, we really took an honest look, and we started having some of these real conversations, like for the really first time, because there was so much of our marriage that it was just in and out, and we would just live from one transition to the next with moves and deployments and adding our first 2 kiddos.
So like survival mode, more or less.
Yeah. The first 6 years was very much survival mode. Looking back, I'm super thankful that we did make those rushed decisions in that first year, because I think that we were both too stubborn to give up because we had gotten married. And if we, hadn't have rushed into that, who knows?
Sure. So we should probably speed up, go on to the next. So fast forward, basically. No, it is a beautiful story. You have an amazing story, and it's a story of faith. It's a story of love. It is compelling. Absolutely. So basically fast forwarding to when you first heard about the rule, and what was it that
and you had already
perked your ears, and
you have mentioned that you have already had studied theology of the body.
Yeah.
So obviously you knew and loved St. John Paul II. So tell us the shift to learning about the rule.
Yeah. So about 2014, we got invited to become NFP instructors, mainly in the military community, because it's something that they need for marriage prep, and they,
of course,
there are not very many. It
Yeah.
can become an issue, especially when you're overseas. Like we were in Germany when we were invited. So we decided to do that, and we became instructors, and that was really great for our marriage and our spirituality, and we really love that. What's interesting is for as many classes we were teaching of, people who are doing their marriage prep or need to learn it because they're trying to delay pregnancy, we had a lot of people come to us say, hey, we want help achieving pregnancy. And we said, well, we can do that too. And so that was great. Well, then we get out of the Army and we continued to do it. And we end up getting these couples who are, they're just trying to check the block.
Yeah.
They're getting married in the church so that mom and dad pay for it. And, sometimes, they just kind of phone it in, but they do the class. And then sometimes they straight up tell you that, hey, we are contracepting with this hormonal method. We are not taking it out. And we just want our certificate. Thank you very much. And, you do that enough. And
takes the life out of you.
Yes. We're pouring out. We're no longer getting the pouring in of those, couples who are excited to learn from us. And it kind of makes you look to your left and right and said, is there anyone like us left?
Yeah.
Is everyone else just checking the block? And, I don't even know if we really consciously prayed it. I don't know where it is in the catechism about subconscious prayer, but that happens. And I think it was probably, was it Instagram or was it YouTube?
Instagram. So 2021, 2022, we had only been here in Nebraska trying to build community for a couple of years anyway. And then we flipped all of that upside down and started over. Not only did we decide to homeschool, we decided to switch parishes. Instead of driving into Lincoln, we were going to actually go to the little country church that was closer to us. So in all of this, we were still new to building community on the civilian world side anyway. And we had built a little bit of community, but then stepped away from all of that and kind of started over again. So fast forward summer 2024. Yeah, just that subconscious prayer of like, man, we're feeling really drained in this ministry that we're doing. We love it, but it's draining. And we just have not built this community because we're homeschooling and he's working from home and we're just seeing each other.
Damn.
And it was just hard. Yeah, we had not figured out how to do that. And I think one of the big things was in the military, community is really easy to build because everyone's in the same boat.
On base.
No one's by their family. Everyone's moving all the time. Like that's just how it worked. And for us being Catholic on military bases, we knew instantly we're going to a new base. We're going to go to mass on Sunday and we're going to meet our people. So it was very easy then, but civilian world was hard. And we had moved here in 2018 and 2024. We still hadn't really figured it out. My Instagram algorithms, for whatever reason, knew what I needed to see that day. And your guys' interview with Chris Stefanik popped up. Nice. And it was kind of just that light bulb moment of, we need to look into this. And so I took it to Nick.
Well, so you did your Megan thing and you did your analysis and you thought like, how do I present this to Nick? And like, she showed me the interview and I think she had like this whole like thing planned. She's like, hey, so I want to do this. And I was like, yeah, we should do this. I just like, that was it. She didn't
even get to do her spiel.
No, so then I was like, wait, I have more. He
was like, you don't actually want to do this. You just said yes. I was like, no, I like what I hear. We definitely need this. Great. We're doing it.
That's great.
So we signed up and did leader couple training that fall.
Yep.
Nice. And you were blessed to be able to find couples in your area.
Yeah, I'm sure. I know everyone has their little story and, we were much the same way. We have acquaintances in our church community. Do we really know anyone? I don't know.
Right.
And, we built the list. Everyone builds their list. That was in the leader trainings. And so we built our list and, we were lucky because it kind of coincided with when you guys did the JP2 night.
Virginka night.
Nice.
So, we sent invites out to everyone on our list.
Yeah.
Have them over to our house for the Rodzinka night, fed them Polish food because I'm 50% Polish.
Right. I remember
Can I
this.
just-
Yes.
And
Yes.
can I just pause for our audience listening too? So we have for all of our WCI MCG members, we have an annual feast day. We call it Rodzinka Night Live because Rodzinka in Polish means little family. And it's an online call where everyone, until last year, we had over 200 people on the call, and we play games, and we give out awards, and it's really fun. And we have a guest speaker.
We have a guest speaker.
And if a leader couple has potential MCG members, they can come and be a part of that as well, even if they're not.
Just to experience
the broader
the madness.
community. Yeah. And I remember that because
I do. I remember your group.
You guys had like Polish meal and all this stuff.
We go big on JP2's feast day anyway.
Yeah, always.
Homemade pierogi.
I feel like you made JP2's favorite dessert.
Yep.
Yes.
And I forget the name of it, but it's a little
Kremovka.
Yeah, it translates to maple cream cake. It's
nice.
Papiska kremkova, something like that. My Polish is going to be off because I haven't looked at it recently, but yeah, it's basically like 2 thin layers of puff pastry with this big vanilla bean custard in the middle, and that was his favorite dessert. And there's rumor as a child that him and his friends like dared each other to see how many they could eat, and he ate dozens of them and didn't feel well after.
And that's quite a feat because it's so buttery. It's hard to eat more than one and not have a tummy ache.
That's funny.
Yes.
So
I know there's until the complete resurrection, there's no form and body in heaven, but I would like to get in a maple cream cake eating competition with JP2.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that would be pretty cool.
New heaven and new earth.
You guys definitely over it.
So anyways, we had all these people over for the Rodzinka night, and we just cast a broad net, but like internally we're like, well, I think these are the people who would want to do it the most. And 2 of those people outright were like, yeah, this is just not a good time. And then the other ones said, yeah, we thought about it, we're not going to do it. And but then like we got one couple, and that led to one of the other couples who we literally met at Rodzinka night.
Nice.
They said, well, if they're doing it, we'll do it.
Cool.
And we said, hey, the 2 couples plus us, that's enough. But if anyone knows anyone else that they want to invite, just let us know. And that, second couple then invited a third couple who we had never met before. And we met them on our very first meeting.
Yeah. Nice. At our house.
Well,
welcome to our home. We are now bonded for life.
it's not like this is not a part of your past. I mean, you guys did meet on Catholic Match, so
yeah, it's time. Checks all the blocks.
And that first meeting, everyone was in tears.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We went deep that fast.
Holy Spirit, right away.
Well, so talk about that, because you were comparing it to teaching NFB and not really being fulfilled by that ministry, and you said people dove in right away at the first meeting. What was that like?
We definitely had this moment, like, because we're apprehensive to invite people to our house for Rodzinka night. We're apprehensive to invite people to our married couple group. We're apprehensive that we can't get people, and then we're apprehensive that, well, now they're here in our house, we're going to screw this up and they're going to leave, and we're just going to be ostracized. Like those are our feelings, and just the way the conversation just happened, like going through the book and talking through it, like we had this moment where we just looked at each other like, this is it. Like we did it. Like we're here. This is happening. We have made all the right choices with this. One
couple in particular just was beautifully vulnerable. They had just gone through something hard, and they opened up immediately to the group. I think it was all the couples had expressed that they were kind of feeling the same, that they had great friendships and relationships and community in their life. Most of them are from here, but so they had these communities, but in your regular friendships and in your regular hangouts, it's not very common to talk about your cycle and your struggles with NFP and, these things that as Catholics are sometimes real stresses in our marriage that are not normal conversation to be having.
Yeah.
But when you build this group around, we're going to have these very Catholic conversations, immediately you can jump into some of those areas that would be far more awkward in other sorts of friendships. Whereas like this one these are all kind of new friendships, and we're building from this foundation of we are all practicing Catholics that take our faith very seriously.
And that's the great thing about the invitation of WCI is that, it's sad but true that you can't just go to your church and look around and assume that everyone is on the same page with you.
Right.
And to Megan's point, then it is awkward. It's even more awkward to ask another Catholic, like, hey, I'm struggling with NFP. And they're like, I don't know what that is. And I don't care what that is.
Yeah,
We do whatever we want. And so when you accept the invitation to WCI, it's like, we've already confirmed all that. We know we're on the same page.
Yeah.
This is, and it's not to say that everyone who is considering WCI or is a member of WCI is a saint. Far from it. We're all struggling, but we're all struggling towards the same thing.
Exactly.
And I think that's what you acknowledge when you enter into this. And that's what makes it so special.
And like what you said, there's not going to be a natural, when you're sitting with other moms and watching a soccer game, you're not going to share about your intimacy issues, and like share these struggles.
Right.
Like it doesn't fit in those situations. So we're making space for deeper conversations. But then also, like you said too, like the coming into, because the rule that St. John Paul II wrote for these married couple groups was written right after Humanae Vitae was promulgated. In order to live that out, it kind of draws a line in the sand, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you attract a certain type of couples who are committed to living that life. I feel like you're able to let your hair down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because in other situations, at least, and maybe this is just something pressure I put on myself, but I feel like I have to be the smiley, it's good to have a lot of kids, like to the secular world pressing in around me, right? And be like, no, this is great. This is fine. It's wonderful. We love having kids. This is all, and sometimes it is good, of course, but there still are struggle days that if I share that with certain people, they'd be like, well, you're the one who had so many kids, and that's not really helpful. And I feel like in these groups, yes, you're always going to that same ideal. And so you can trust that when you share your frustration with struggling in intimacy or wounds from the past affecting your unity as a couple, or even struggling with parenting and having a lot of kids or not having, or with infertility, and yet you can be supported in that and not have to constantly have your guard up against like someone trying to take you down a different road. You know what I mean? Like you can get the spiritual support and yet still all be aiming for that same ideal.
It was very evident from day one that our group understood that and felt safe to have those conversations immediately. Because it was just 1 hour into our very first meeting and everyone was sharing very, very openly. And it was beautiful. And I think that I had heard Cameron Frad, they had at one point, I don't remember what podcast I was listening to, but they were talking about when you're having a struggle in your marriage, you need to go to someone that's going to cheer for your marriage. We knew that this group was going to be that. Like if we're having a struggle, I'm going to go to the members of this group. Yeah. They're going to be like, well, we're cheering for your marriage more than we're cheering for you as Megan or you as Nick individually. And I think this, like immediately we kind of had this understanding of they're going to cheer for my marriage above anything else.
The dynamic that we have, I've been thinking a lot about it because it's so unique. I feel like the closest I can come is that we are like brothers and sisters. That's how we love each other. So I don't love my buddies. I don't love him any more than his spouse. Like I love them equally. Like I'm going to fight for both of them. If they're having an argument, I'm on their side. I'm not choosing sides. They're my brother and sister. It's just such a great, we call it a family of families for other reasons, but when you think about it, like these are our siblings. Like, we're a family and we're fighting for one another.
And it takes you to this deeper place too, because you're able to have these Christian friendships, authentically Christian, healthy, balanced. You're joking, you're laughing, you're sharing the muckiest reel of your life with them.
Mhm.
And yet they're not leaving you. You're not saying, yeah, we do that too. And just staying like you're still
No.
calling each other to holiness, but you're being real.
Yeah.
And you can't get closer to that ideal unless you admit and are really honest with yourself about the real. And we all have stuff. JP2 wrote this amazing rule, and yet the groups only work as willing as the couples are within that group to be vulnerable and open and honest.
True.
And so if your group is fantastic, it's because those couples are fantastically embracing it and
Right.
being willing to open their hearts, because there's some groups that are not as open, and then they don't have as much fruit from it because you're not going to build those deeper relationships. But I feel like even in the Acts of the Apostles and the letters in the New Testament where they talk about, I embrace you with a brotherly kiss, that level of friendship in Christ, I feel like even though we've had friends, and Peter and I just celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary. And so we've had Christian Catholic things. We've had Christian Catholic friends for our whole marriage, but these friendships, they're just deeper and they hit at a deeper core, and we've become better people and stronger couple ourselves.
Yeah.
And we do greet each other with a brotherly kiss when we see them.
I would say it's agape love. Like, we're actually willing to sacrifice for the other. It's not simply this utilitarian friendship. We're not just hanging out because it's convenient. We've sought each other out. And I think, isn't that the ideal friendship, right? That all of us together are seeking the one love. Like, we all want Christ and his will for our lives in the same way, with the same gusto. And so I think that's what makes our friendship so unique. And then too, Nick, obviously, as a military man, what better way to fight a battle than with friends, shoulder to shoulder? And that's what makes this whole experience, being in a married couple group, so amazing, is that for the first time, we're equally yoked with others. So it's like, wow, it's even easier than just, living the faith life, knowing our faith and receiving the sacraments. That we kind of understood that makes life easier, right? At least we're not faithless, and we know that all the struggles are meaningful and that can be turned around and used for the good. But then when we live and join with others, then we're like, oh man, this is incredible. It's like, instead of just kind of involved in the race, we're way ahead. We're winning the race and it's easy. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what JP2 said, right? Like, when you in an increasingly anti-Christian culture, you need heroic virtue to live even an ordinary Christian life. And yet it's nearly impossible to sustain heroic virtue on a daily basis on your own, or even just on your own as a couple. And that's what causes the frustration and the disgruntled NFPers, right? Or the disgruntled trying to do the right thing, but they are not happy, right? And yet the answer is this community and coffee and donuts. Hey, how you doing? Good. How you doing? Yeah.
Right.
But something deeper, like authentic Christian community.
Yeah. And what a blessing that you had that couple open to being vulnerable, because that really does set the stage for the rest of your group. And there's something about that vulnerability. First of all, obviously they need to trust you, which they obviously did, but then you all need to take the responsibility. They're handing you their heart, and you have to delicately love them, saying, we're going to take care of you.
And you're trusting. So it's a trust thing, just like in your own relationship, to be able to trust the other people in your group too. So what would you guys say to couples who maybe they've gone to a retreat, maybe they've just heard the podcast and they're thinking about doing this themselves and starting their own married couple group? What would you say to them if they were having like doubts or worries about it?
First, short and simple, just do it. Forget the doubts, just do it. Megan and I, we discussed this ahead of time. I had kind of this metaphorical epiphany on my way back from the vet today. And, retreats are great, but you can't do a retreat once a week. That's just not sustainable. And there's all these other things that we talk about. Oh, go to couples therapy and do date night. And, these are great workouts that I'll call, but that's the metaphors, working out different parts of your relationship. But, your core strength is what's most important, right? And your marriage covenant is the core of your marriage. I think that's what WCI does, is that ideally once a week, you and your married couple group are getting together and you are building up the core of your marriage. And if you ignore that, you can strengthen your relationship in so many other ways. But if you do not have a strong marriage covenant between you and your wife, with the Holy Spirit, you're on an unsound foundation.
I like it.
Yeah, I love that.
Nick said earlier when we were teaching the NFP that there were times that we got to thinking, are we the only ones? Are we out there all alone? And community has been something that I've heard a lot from other married couple groups within the WCI, within our own group. This idea of community and accountability, to be able to come and to work on these key things. These are real conversations. You're challenging each other. There's always the marriage challenges within each week, like when you get together, and the pushing for the ideal. Teresa, you had said the real and the ideal, that's what these groups are all about, that we come together, we talk about the real messy muck, but then this is a group that holds us to a higher standard. We push for that ideal, that core. What is the marriage all about? It's not just, can we have fun date nights, but are we working on the important stuff?
Yeah.
And I guess for any prospective couple, like the nuts and bolts of it, we didn't read ahead on anything. We just said, we'll build our group and then we'll go do it. But if I could see someone might read ahead and say, I don't actually understand this. How am I going to talk about it? And, at the end of the day, the Holy Spirit is very much part of WCI. And there are meetings where even if we do understand what's being discussed, like that's not what our group is doing right now. Our group is going to spend the next 45 minutes talking about our journal entries. And we're going to get so much out of that. And that's okay. Sometimes we say, you know what, we're going to do this week again because we didn't talk about this. Sometimes we're like, you know what, we're good. We'll move on here.
Yeah.
But, the Holy Spirit's going to drive that meeting. And, maybe you all will learn something about JP2. Maybe you'll just talk about journal entries. That's, it's whatever you guys need, and it'll happen. It'll be great.
Yeah. That's really beautiful because the thing was is like this rule, it's not meeting with the married couple group is not a book study.
Right.
It is putting into practice this reintegration of your personhood and bonding on this like beautiful soul level. So it's building relationships more than learning theology. And that's obviously the theology is there because you're studying marriage and you're going for that ideal, but it's experiencing it. One of the things with the rule is we can understand why Humanae Vitae is right and why theology of the body is right. But how do we live it in our daily marriage? And this rule gives us that ability. So so if you need to spend time talking about those journal entries and that's what your married couple group is that week, then fantastic. Like you said, it's the Holy Spirit. And we definitely will give full credit to the Holy Spirit of this whole thing.
No, and ideally, what would happen is after being in a group for so long, it's our joy, it's the love that we have for one another, it's our friendships, it's our peace, that whatever it is, something is attractive to the greater world. So it affects our children, it affects the other people in our parish, it affects the people that we work with. And ideally, that would be the way that people recognize that, wow, there's something really happening here. So I was going back to your military past, and obviously in the real world, we recruit, we go out and we tell people. And so using your metaphor, the recruiter would say, look at these abs. Don't you want to have
abs
a
like
rock
ours?
solid core like mine? But I feel like what I would love to see is our groups, just their very love being so attractive that people are like, wow, can I touch your core? Like, what is
What's that feel like?
that's
I love your muscles.
but it is that's my hope, is that it doesn't become this weird, don't you want to join a married couple group, but it becomes this attractive, what the heck are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Like, I've never heard of this. Why are you meeting so frequently? And what's this about a bonfire? Or why are you doing this Polish night with other people online? My desire anyway is that the people hear from our love, they see the difference that it makes in our lives, and that attracts them.
I know we have to wrap up, but we could talk to you guys all night, and it's been
true.
so wonderful. But in our upcoming leader couple training class, 3 of the couples, one of them is a parent of a couple in a married couple group.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I know. And
It's
2 other
amazing.
couples, they heard about it from someone who's already in a married
Right.
couple group. So I love that, because more than, hearing it, watching go watch the Chris Stefanik interview with us. That's fantastic. But even more so, seeing I want what they have
Right.
in their married couple
That's-
group, and that's what you were saying.
Absolutely.
Too.
Praise God. All right. Thank you, Nick and Megan. We're so grateful. And Teresa's right. We could go on, and it would feel completely amazing. But I fear our listeners may not feel the same. But we're so appreciative. We're grateful that you were with us. And obviously, God brought you together for a reason. We're grateful that He brought you into our lives. And so
Amen.
thank you. And for all of our listeners, we'll see you again next week.
God
Thanks
bless
for
you.
watching.
Bye-bye.